Good
Hi,
afternoon.
everybody. Welcome onto the call. I see some people are starting to filter into the webinar now. Sorry, we're a couple of minutes over start time. We're just giving people an opportunity to filter in, and we'll wait for another couple of minutes. But James, are you able to jump in?
Yeah, fine. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the EMIS Health webinar. This afternoon, I'm James Hills, one of the account directors for EMIS. Happy to welcome all to this webinar with our elite partner, Hero Health. In the next hour, we're going to run through how Hero helps PCNs hit the PCN DES requirements for patient online booking through their solution. We'll run through a demo of the Hero product, and then we'll have some Q&As towards the end that can be added as we run through and follow on from that. So I'm joined by two of my colleagues from Hero today, Richard Bowler, who is going to talk through the product and how it meets requirements, and Harry Winter, who will be running the demo of their solution. So without further ado, I'll pass across to Richard. Richard, over to you.
Brilliant. Thanks, James. Thanks for the introduction. And hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. So just going to set a bit of context as well. We at Hero, we're an elite partner with EMIS, and we integrate directly with EMIS rather than the NHS IM1 wrapper. Over the last few months, we've spoken to over 100 people in the NHS, PCN managers, directors, federations and practices. And we want to share with you what we're hearing in the market and how we've built our product to really solve for the requirements of the DES. So this is what we're going to cover today, as James said: intro to us, enhanced access criteria. Harry's going to demo the product, and then a Q&A. So we're an EMIS integrated online booking solution, and what our product enables is automating appointment scheduling across PCN sites. It works at an individual practice site and also from practices to PCN sites. You'll see this when we go through the demo. And patients can book in two main ways. Now, this speaks really to the interpretation of the DES. There's website online bookings, and this is currently in live beta. But what we're going to show you today is the booking links that can be sent out via SMS or email, and we refer to that as being admin-led. So what we've found from speaking to hundreds of people in the market is that there's a kind of an ambiguous interpretation of the DES, and on one end of the spectrum, there's people are thinking, right, we need to make all appointments available online on our website, which strikes fear into clinicians, as is understandable, because there's obviously fear around opening up the entire book, because you really want to kind of control and protect clinicians' diaries. On the other end of the spectrum is saying, okay, let's meet the enhanced access requirements just by sending out booking links. And what we suggest to people is that's, the ambiguity shows that does meet the requirements. And what we suggest is kind of a phased approach, and that is start by sending out booking links so that you can control access into clinicians. And then I think the world that PCNs are going to live in is, and practices as well, in terms of enhancing access and giving patients access, is some kind of hybrid. So where there's a hybrid of, there are some appointments that you make available online through your website, whether that's at the practice or the PCN site, and then there are a number of appointments that you invite patients to, so that are admin led. And I think that's where things are going. So also we give patients the ability to book, reschedule, cancel appointments, all feeding directly into the clinician's EMIS diary, and all of that happens at the push of a button, as you'll see when we jump into the demo. And I think this is really important, is that because of our direct integration, we have a real-time diary update sync. So whatever happens on the Hero platform, if you will, is reflected immediately in your EMIS diary. So the patient experience is very, very streamlined. Patients don't go to try and book an appointment, and actually that's already booked. And also there's no risk of double bookings. And I know that with some other solutions that are trying to operate in this space, they kind of unfortunately fall down in this area, which ultimately it's not just it's not just annoying, but I think it's also a clinical safety issue. So we're pretty chuffed with the fact that we've built this solution and we can offer you that. As I mentioned, we work with a number of federations and PCNs and practices up and down the country. This is something that one of our federation managers has very kindly said about us. So take a look. We engaged with Hero team a few months ago to cover off the contractual requirement of the new enhanced access specification that mandates patients should be able to book appointments online. As a GP federation providing the service on behalf of our 3 PCNs practices, Hero offered a practical, straightforward solution to this and easy implementation, which is really refreshing. I have absolutely no hesitation in recommending Hero Health. And that's from Catherine Rush at GP Health Partners, Fed in Surrey. So we're going to jump into a demo now, and let me just tell you how it's going to work. So please do feel free to put your questions in the Q&A as we go through. So as you think of them, just put them into the Q&A. We will field them at the end of the demo. It's only a short demo, so that will just help us create a slick, uninterrupted demo so that it's easy for everyone to watch. But we will get to your questions. And just before we jump in, what I'm going to ask is for one of the EMIS team to share a link that's an anonymized survey. We're not collecting any of your personal data. Just for a sense for us to understand who is on the call. And there are 3 questions. One is, what level of organisation do you work at? And please check as many that are relevant. It's Federation, ICB, PCN, GP, or other org. The other is, what is your role within the org? Choose the one or ones that are relevant. And then the final one, it's really for our insight, and we're happy to feed this aggregated data back to you. When we speak to people, typically what we're seeing is that people fall into one of 2 buckets, and that is either people in the market just want to check the box to meet the enhanced access requirements and then want to get on with their lives and get on with business as usual. There's another camp, which honestly is the larger camp, and that is people see that business as usual, either at PCN or practice level, is not working how they want it to, and they're looking for an upgrade and a transformation in how they're working. So they're looking for, what is the best solution out there? What's the best way of working? So if you could go ahead now, and if someone from EMIS, you just give me a nod to let me know that that's been sent.
It's there, Rich. You're all good.
Okay, that's great. I can only see my screen. All right, just waiting. I'm just going to give it another 30 seconds for people to ping through those. Okay. All right. So look, thank you everyone for taking the 30 seconds to whiz through that. And now I'm going to hand over to Harry, who's going to show you the Hero platform in action with EMIS.
Hi everyone, I'm Harry. I'm head of sales at Hero. Thanks, Rich. Lapo, if you can hear me, it'd be great if you could share your screen now. So today what we're going to show you is the flow that a practice would use to send a patient a booking link. We'll show you the patient booking flow. and then the patient is going to book an appointment at the hub site's EMIS. I'm in London and Lapo's in Oxford, which is why there will be a little bit of, I'll share my screen at times and Lapo will share his at others. So hopefully that runs smoothly. And Lapo, what you're seeing here is showing you the hub's EMIS instance where we've made some sessions, and I'll be showing you the Practices Hero instance where we'll be sending the messages from. The key thing to think about Hero and EMIS is that the diaries of the sites that we set up are synced in live time. So what the market said to us when we went to market to try and find out what the problems are within the NHS and what was coming up in the future is that there's a system fatigue where receptionists don't have time to learn lots of new systems. So we've built Hero to sit underneath EMIS. And what that means is your admin team will continue to create sessions in EMIS, which will pull through into Hero, book appointments over the phone in EMIS if they come in, although hopefully most of them will be booked online via Hero, and that you can cancel and reschedule as well in EMIS. And all of those actions will then happen into the Hero diary in live time. Vice versa, if a patient books with Hero, it will book directly into the EMIS diary. If they cancel with Hero, it will cancel into the EMIS diary, and if they reschedule with Hero, it will reschedule into the EMIS diary. So look at the systems as two different systems, but the diaries are synced, and so they're acting as the same thing at all times. Really what we built Hero to do is act as a bridge between a patient and a booking going into an EMIS diary. So most of the Hero views you'll see today will be patient facing, and they'll be what the patient sees. And then we'll just demonstrate when the booking goes in that it's come into the hub site diary. So without further ado, let me share screen, and Rich, just give me a shout if we can all see this. You're on mute, but I luckily could see your face. So
yes, we can see it.
Great. So this is kind of the Hero portal. It's a Chrome browser, but also there's a widget coming out so that you can send messages via EMIS just like you can with AccuRx and other platforms. Today we're going to send an email. The only reason we're going to send an email is because demoing on a phone is very difficult, and there's too many of you to send one of you a text. So we'll send it via email. The thing to say is the email flow and the SMS flow are exactly the same, and the way you send the message is exactly the same. The only reason we do this on demo is so that the share screen works. To send a patient an email, you simply click send email, and then you search for the patient that you want to send. We have a batch feature as well, and you just drop your CSV from EMIS into this screen, and then the batch would upload. You can see that the email address is automatically pulled from EMIS and populated in the right slot, and you're able to edit that as well for singular messages so that you can send it to a different email if you wanted to. Sending links is really, really easy. You have a free text field where you can write whatever you want. I'm terrible at typing in front of people, so there we go. And then you drop an invite link into the message. So at this point, we will be able to populate or show you all of the locations within your network. This is a demo site, so we've only got 2, but for the sake of this appointment, we've made the hub site the default because the practice will send to the hub, and so we'll choose the hub site. What that means is when the patient clicks the link, we'll be searching the diary of the hub site for the slot that you have chosen them to see. So Hero works at a really granular level on slots, and so when I search for the appointment that I want to send the link for, this critically will then only show the patient the availability of the slots you've populated in your sessions at the hub site. We're going to do an asthma review, and you can add more granularity to your message if you want to. So you could choose for it to be with one practitioner or with all the practitioners doing asthma reviews, and you can set expiry dates on the link if you wanted to. This one's 14 days. So we'll drop the link in the message. Crucially, I know batch is really important. The way our batch works is that it will feel like you're sending one message to 1,000 different people. but you'll actually be sending 1,000 different messages with 1,000 different links to those 1,000 different people. And what's really important about that is that means that each individual has their own booking link. And that's great for two reasons. Firstly, it means that once the link is used, we'll make sure that it can't be used again. And secondly, we know the individual who's going to click the link. And so that will make a more seamless login journey for the patient. So I'll send the email now. And because I'm in a staging environment, I'll jump into a staging inbox. That email's just come through. You can see that the text that I free texted is there, and that there's a booking link. I'm now going to act as a patient, so I'll quickly sign out of the admin view and open up this view here. What you're seeing here is, because we're in staging, this is branded like Hero, but actually when we onboard you, it will be branded with NHS branding, and so there will be no way of redirecting to Hero. It's white labeled software. So I'll enter my date of birth to verify who I am as a patient, and then I'll see a list of times to book. I'm going to book next week on Tuesday, the 13th of September. I'll confirm the appointment, and then I'll book it. So that booking has been confirmed. Lapo, when you're ready, you can override my screen share, and he'll show you it come into the diary. So you can see in blue that we booked that appointment and it's gone directly into the diary. So what we'll do now is I will reshare my screen and override Lapo. Has that worked? And I'll show you the confirmation email that patients receive. So again, this will be an NHS branded email, but crucially, we will automatically remind patients via a confirmation email and SMS, but also automated reminders in the lead up to appointments that they have an appointment with the surgery at the correct location. And you can see that from this info. And then to meet the DES requirements, patients are able to frictionlessly click a link to cancel or reschedule that appointment. So I will click a link here, which will bring me into the appointment summary from the message, and I'll reschedule that appointment into the HubSite diary. So Lapo, I'm now going to move that to Monday the 12th at 12:15. And when you're ready, Lapo, feel free to show it go in. So there you go, the appointment's moved. And then finally, I will share my screen over you one more time. And then I will cancel that same appointment at Monday the 12th. And you'll see within the EMIS diary, once it loads, Lapo will reshare and that slot will have disappeared. So it's back and available for online booking. So, I mean, really the crux of what Hero is trying to achieve is to create frictionless booking for patients into the slots that you have told them to book. So some of what the market came up with and told us in our preparation is that other tools didn't quite have the sort of triage at an admin level that meant it was impossible for patients to book the wrong slots. But with this, you will know what the patient needs to book and then send them the booking link, which will only display those slots. And yeah, that's the crux of our integration with EMIS. We'll now sort of answer your questions as we go.
Thanks, Harry. That was great. There are a few questions that have been coming through. So let's work through from the top. So question from actually in the presenters channel, so says, so from the patient's point of view, is the flow patient rings the practice, asks for an appointment, and then B, the practice says we'll send you a link so you can book your own appointment. I think it's worth, yeah, I mean, Harry, you can talk about the cross-org piece. Obviously, if a patient rings the practice and they want to book into the practice, they can just book into the practice. But I'm guessing the question here is, if a patient rings the practice and they want to book an appointment, that is available at one of the PCN sites, how does that work?
Yeah, and so I mean, what we always say about Hero is we want to solve for the 90% of mundane bookings that happen at a practice site over the phone, and we want to make them available to be booked online. So you have two options. One, you can send them a message to book at any of the hub sites of your choosing, or well, you have three options. Two, you can book them in there and then within the EMIS portal, and then that will block out the slot that was available for online booking in Hero. Or you can send them a message to book at your practice if you wish. Some of the feedback that we had from practices is that, or actually from patients calling practices, one, the wait times are quite long. Secondly, when you're on the phone with someone, you don't actually get the breadth of choice of slot times, so you can't actually see a diary in front of you, and often you get given an appointment that you're not happy with. So there is an option there to say, why don't you, we'll send you a text now, you can enter your date of birth and you can choose from a list of, of all the slots that we have available in the next 3 weeks. So yeah, those are the choices. That really what we demoed there for you was a cross-organizational booking. Perhaps the PCN site knows that they've made availability for certain appointments, and they've contacted the practice site to say, we've got availability for these slots to help you with the strain on your diary book, and then you can download the patients that are relevant for those slots, bulk message them to book into the hub site.
Yeah, hopefully that answers your question, Alice, and if not, then please do jump in again with another question, and we'll follow that up. Next question we have is, would the patient be able to see all the appointments available when he or she wants to reschedule?
So they will only see the slots that are available for that appointment type, so for that slot within the session. So because when they've booked, we know what the slot is. When they go to reschedule, they're searching the same location and all of the available slots that are in the sessions as, if it was a smear test, then they would be searching the smear test slots, for example. They wouldn't see anything else.
Right. No, this one, yes, Harry, we need to think about this as well. So, and this is part of what we're looking at in our product roadmap too. That is, so what happens, by the way, this question has come up multiple times, which is why we're looking at addressing it in our product. What happens if you want to offer the patient an appointment where they can book that appointment at any one of the PCN sites, not just restricted to one site?
So there's two types of flow within Hero, and Rich mentioned both of them briefly, but what we've shown you there is SMS booking links. So it's a very controlled process where the admin basically knows what the end result needs to be. There's a different style of booking link, which essentially we will release quite soon, but it's like a website booking link. And so we don't know who the patient is clicking it. And so we need to verify who that patient is as they walk through the flow. What that enables a patient to do is to go onto a website and then choose from a list of locations where they want to book, and then they'll be able to see the available appointments at each location. You can send that style of booking link in a message as well. So you could send a message for a booking link for a patient for a specific appointment, but they would then see a list of locations. The only difference is, because we don't know who the patient is on those links, it's the way they're developed, we need to verify that the patient is a member of the PCN before they book, because what we don't want to happen is for us to basically say, we're moving your bookings online, anyone can book, and then instead of telephone calls happening, you have an admin team who's basically verifying that each patient's eligible to book at the practice. We want to do that for you, and so the way that we're doing that is by leveraging the NHS login button, which everyone's used for their COVID vaccinations. And when you log in with that, it will send us essentially the ODS code of the practice, and we'll be able to cross-reference that with the ODS codes of the PCN and either say, yes, they can book and allow them to continue, or say, no, they can't, and then send them a message saying you're not a member of this PCN, so you can't book. that's kind of within a 6-week product window, so it will come in early October. But to answer your question, it will be possible, but with the links view I've just shown you, it's quite granular and you can only choose one location.
Thanks, Harry. Next question is, so within and across a network, and you kind of answered this really, can Hero pick up patients registered at different sites if the booking process is centrally managed?
Yes. So we have an API call which is also in beta testing, but it essentially means that when a practice patient, so each patient book is owned by the relevant practices within the PCN, and the hub site probably doesn't have a patient book. So what you're referring to is if we send a patient a booking link and they book at the hub site, they'll appear as unregistered at the hub site. We have developed an integration with GP Connect and PDS, Patient Demographic Services, where we will actually search the spine for the patient based on their NHS number and then automatically trace them into the hub site when the booking is made, meaning that there will be no admin step to do that. And that, again, it will be released in October. So, you know, if you were to come on, you would come on with that released.
And they'd feed in as a guest registration?
Yes, it would be a guest registration, but when the doctor clicked on the slot, they would be able to see the patient health record and write into it, which would then write back to the practice.
Yeah, and then so follow up from one of the earlier questions. So how about in cases where appointments have been allocated to different practices in the system? How does a PCN ensure that practices would not offer appointments to patients that belong to the other practices?
Good question. So because we work on slots, what you would do at the PCN hub site is you would say, let's say there's 3 practices. You say, and we're going to call the slot a smear test. You say smear test dash practice 1 slot, smear test dash practice 2 the other slot, smear test dash practice 3 the last slot, and then you would essentially sync the hub site and the practice site 1 so that they could only send smear test practice site 1 slots to their patients. And then within your session, when you populate your session, you would populate a fair allocation of the 3 different slots to each practice. What you could also do is have a general smear test appointment, which is synced to all 3, so that if, for example, on the day practice 3 hasn't filled their quota and there's demand from others, you can open that up to be available for everyone as well. But if you want granularity, and Lapo, who is on mute, he's our head of ops and he'll help you set this up. We're quite hands-on at setup, so we make sure that everything's working fully. But we'll make sure that you understand that you can essentially map your sessions out at a hub site, so a fair allocation of appointments gets given to each practice.
Thanks. Still got another couple of questions coming through. So this one, can Hero be set up to work with an EMIS clinical service module across the PCN without being integrated with the constituent practice EMIS web systems? Or is the latter required to identify the patient and send them a message?
So the latter is required to send a message because the messaging is sent from the practice and then with the hub site as the location. So it's actually practice-led booking into the hub site. You can set up just the hub site, but the way that you would do that is by having online booking links. So a slightly different booking journey and a less seamless one for a patient because they'll have to log in with their NHS details. But you could, in theory, add those the sort of booking portal on your website. So at a click of a button, they can see a menu of appointments and then book at the site. And 2, you can send those booking links to the practices who are able to send them out with their current batch provider. And the patient will then be able to click a booking link that is similar, but just walk through a slightly longer journey of verification on our side. And Teresa, this very much can be used by individual practices and was developed for individual practices. So if the PCN comes on, each hub site will have their own hero instance where you could do all of your patient call and recall at a practice level with hero, and then you could also send off links to patients who are going to be seen at the hub site. So it's not just for PCN bookings, you can use it for practice bookings as well.
Thanks, Harry. I've just put a link in the Q&A chat because I know we've scheduled for the whole hour, but also people have busy schedules and might have to jump off. If you would like to take things further and get a hero instance set up with your organization, then visit the link that I've popped in there, which is herohealthsoftware.net. There's a button on the website that says book a demonstration. You've just seen the demonstration, but go through that, click book a demonstration, and then we can get you set up from there. Right. So there's that.
So it looks like the next question, sorry to jump in there, Rich, was Thomas logging in with the NHS login. Is this integrated with the NHS app? Not currently, so they're actually distinct. Really, the only reason we're leveraging that login is because it provides a single source of truth for patient data. So it actually answers Debbie's question as well below. With that login, we are given the ODS code, so the location code of the member practice that patient's registered to. When we set up with you at a federation or PCN level, we'll set rules against each ODS code to say a patient with this ODS code can book at any of these ODS codes, and that would be the other practices within the PCN. But you can determine at an admin level what those rules are. You will choose, and we'll help you choose the right ones. So Debbie, to answer your question there, when a patient attempts to book at a hub, they'll only be allowed to book at the hub if they have the correct ODS code. And Debbie, nice to see you again. Haven't seen you for a while, but Debbie actually already uses here and was the first federation to use us ages ago. So the product's come a really, really long way since we started out with you.
You're on mute, Debbie, but feel free to jump in and say hi.
Do we have some other questions?
Yeah, so there's let me just filter through and read them out, because there are questions in the chat which has just been fed through into the presenter side, but also questions that I'm putting across into the Q&A. So just let me get to those, Harry, 1 second. So Edward, yes, you've asked, is there equitable distribution of appointments based on eligibility?
Yes, so we have answered that question. Basically, you can determine that. So I think you're talking about catchment size per practice for the hub, and like you would create that ratio currently. So when you create your PCN hub appointments, you might know practice A needs double everyone else. So when you do your sessions, you would just create double the availability for them in the first instance, and then their patients would see more availability than everyone else. As I said, you know, it might come to a point where you go, right, we haven't booked these slots and we need to, and then you could have a generic appointment for all of the hub sites and just send an email out to say, look, we have some slots left today, please send a link for the generic appointment if needs be, and then everyone will be able to see that slot. Next question, Rich.
Yes, so Pauline, I think Thomas asked this as well. Will patients have access? Will patients have to have the NHS app to book appointments? No,
they won't. No. I mean, it helps if they can log in with it by their NHS number, because it will just mean that the patient tracing is much easier for us. But there is an alternative login as well, where we'll essentially collect personal data from them and then match it against the spine to find the correct patient. So we'll search spine to say, find me a Harry Winter with this date of birth at this postcode with this email or with this phone number. And then if we get a direct match, the same process will ensue. But if we don't, will then just pass the booking in anyway as an unregistered booking, with a note to say, we haven't found a match, please search for this patient yourself. And so you then have the control in the absolute worst instance to make a decision on what you do with that booking and contact the patient. So there are several steps, but obviously the most seamless one is they log in with the NHS button, and then we immediately know who they are because we know their NHS number.
Catherine's asked, this relates back to the two different ways of kind of booking, is once we add the session, can we add that link to our website so patients can book themselves in without calling?
I mean, you can add links to your website, but there's two different types of link. So one type of link is what I showed you today, where you can batch send patients a unique link, which is unique to each patient. And the reason that's important is it means, one, once they've booked on it, they'll never be able to book on it again. And two, their booking journeys, so their sign-in journey, is really seamless because we know who that patient is, so we only need their date of birth to log in. If you do the more generalized link, where the way to think of it is any patient can click on that link. So it's one link which maybe 100 different patients are going to click, but the link's not going to change. We then don't know who those patients are, and so we need to verify who they are a bit more stringently to make sure they're correct for the booking. And so what I'd advise is, if you at a practice level or at a hub site level created a certain type of appointment that you knew there were patients eligible for within the network, I'd say, let's call it diabetes reviews. You'd email the member practices and you'd say, we've got slots for diabetes reviews at the practice. And then the practices themselves can download their list of diabetes review eligible patients and then send them the much more controlled and easy to book link. And then that's how your hub site will fill up. If you want to do the more general link, you can, and you could put it on your website. It just will mean that the patients will have a slightly longer booking flow, essentially.
So thanks, Harry, that's really useful. And look, if people have more questions, I can see there are still some coming through that we're publishing. I think it might be interesting just to share a bit of data as well. So I'm going to go back to share screen. Just give me the heads up when you can see that.
Yeah, can see.
Okay, so did the demo. A couple of other things that people are saying, nice words about us. Targeting all lists in one go. I mean, obviously the use cases for this are for any appointment type where you want to be able to control or give controlled access or specific access to patients. I mean, obviously to meet the requirements and to check that, check that box. But also it is a better way of working, that we genuinely believe that. And so for in particular things such as mass vaccination programs, this is a complete game changer for people. This is a practice that's been using us since last year, and you can see that this is entirely automated bookings that have gone in, and this is appointment type specific, and there are coming up to 13,000 appointments. If you just think of like the admin time that is saving, and there are two sides to this. It's the admin time that's being saved, and also the patient experience as well. So the patients here, they just have the link, can click the button, and can book themselves into the appointment slot time that suits them. So this is just to show you an example of where this is real data, anonymized, of where we're in use. 19 practitioners, 23 different appointment types. Another one, this is a practice that came on just over summer. There was a bit of setup time. So if you look down here in the bottom right hand box, you can see appointments over time. They booked just coming up to 567 appointments. You can get going faster than this. Your ramp time can be a lot faster. And we have an onboarding process which takes about 2 sessions of half an hour, and we can do that with an entire PCN group. So we can bring an entire PCN on in within a week. I mean, it's really as fast as you can go. Right now, we do have a bit of a queue. As you can imagine, there's a lot of interest in this solution. So we can start to bring on new customers after 2 weeks. So the current queue stands at 2 weeks, and obviously we're limited by the number of people that we have on our side that we can actually book people in and get going. So what I'd say is if this is something that you're interested in, then do reach out to us sooner rather than later, because that our pipeline of queued customers is only increasing. But we can move quickly once you're at the front of the queue, and you can just get up and running. We had one practice that used this for flu, Lapo, who was sharing his EMIS screen. The practice manager, it's a brilliant story. She set Hero up, set it up for their flu clinic, and then sent the appointment links out on batch, and then went on holiday the next day, and which is brilliantly confident. And then over 400 appointments came in and self-booked. So that's really what we're aiming for, like that level of confidence in the system. I mean, the system stands up and it works that well, but so this is not running that quickly, but over the course of weeks, this practice, they came on, I believe, well, let's see, yes, this was flu vaccination and blood tests, so gradually increasing. And then this might even been it, actually. So, same kind of thing, over 1,000 appointments booked, predominantly for flu. Yes, I think exclusively for flu here. So over 1,000 appointments self-booked for flu, feeding into the EMIS diary real time. It's been phenomenal experience for both the practice and also the patients as well. So it's great how well this is working for people. I want to talk about pricing because this is an obvious point that everyone asks. So we currently charge at £2,500 per EMIS instance, and there is a bit of technical setup, mostly on our side. We need to connect the Hero servers with your practice or your site's EMIS servers, which is what helps us get that real-time sync. We offer discounts at scale, so you can just read it for yourself here. 10% discount for a single PCN, and then that steps up. 15% discount for a federation, and then a 20% discount if this is purchased at proper scale at ICB level. We do have a setup fee, but for people who are on the webinar, we want to waive that. And historically, that has been £500 per location, but as part of our partnership with EMIS and for goodwill ahead of the enhanced access deadline, we're waiving that £500 setup fee for anyone here on the call. So I thought that was I wanted to share that, and also that might have opened up more questions as well. And if people do want to jump in, then please visit herohealthsoftware.net, and you'll see there are buttons all over the website. I'll show you what it looks like. Maybe I can't. There we go. So here we go, here's our website. Just come here, click on book a demonstration. You've seen the demonstration already, but click one of these green buttons anywhere. And here's what people are saying about us, so you can have a look around. But click book a demonstration, and that will book time in either with Harry or myself, or what we could do then, if you make a note as you're going through the booking flow, click book demonstration and come to a Calendly page, choose date and time that works for you, and then just make a note to say you're on the EMIS webinar, so that we'll know that you're looking to get started Obviously, if you've got other questions, that's fine as well, but hopefully that helps. Okay, so I'm going to stop my sharing now, just check back in on the Q&A. Once we have the session, can we? Okay. All right, I can't see any other questions that have come in right now. So I'm going to hand back to Team EMIS, but I just want to say thank you to everyone for taking the time out of your very busy days to come on this call and see how Hero and EMIS can help you meet the enhanced access requirements and also upgrade your way of working to remove a lot of admin burden from PCNs, federations, and importantly the practices as well. So thank you very much to our hosts, EMIS, and thank you also to everyone again for joining, and thank you to my team at Hero who have built the product and also helped put this webinar together. James, over to you if there's anything you'd like to wrap.
Yeah, sorry, I just unmute myself. Yeah, thanks, Richard. Thanks very much for running the demo. Thanks for everyone who's attended the call. Really impressed with the functionality and everything you've done for us today. You can reach out to Hero, like they've mentioned. If you want to speak to your account director in conjunction with a PCN hub, then please reach out to them as well. And yeah, thanks very much for our marketing team in the background, keeping this this webinar running. Thanks very much for your time, everyone.
Cheers. Bye.
Take care. Bye now.
Bye.